So, hello everyone. This is my first English webinar or streaming. So, I apologize for any uh, any problems. I'm using Restream for multiple streaming. So, uh, this is the introduction into automation, and let's start. So, the subtitle of the whole webinar is "What can be automated will be." This is not from my head. This is not my invention. It was said by some other smart guy, and I just catch this phrase, and I would like to show you that we are living in age where everything we want everything automated because we are overwhelmed by informations and by so many tasks, and then our life is now a little bit complicated thanks to this, and the automation is one way out of this for ourselves. So let me please introduce myself. My name is David Straits, and I work for 20 years as a sysadmin, mainly on Unix and Linux platforms. And afterwards, I worked as a IT architect, and I got plenty of experience with IT automation. I am automating processes in IT for more than 17 years in total, and currently I'm implementing, or I'm a part of team which is implementing automation for our clients in their business processes and in their IT, in their CRM software. And why automation? This is maybe a silly question, but let's summarize it, because it is always better to understand the whole background uh, or everything around the topic. So we do automate because it's comfortable, and we would like to preserve human creativity, not be overwhelmed by routine tasks. So this is one point. Another point is the automated processes are much faster, and we are using machines. In our case, in my case, computers, because I will talk about IT automation, IT ICT. Another bullet or another point is precision. Machines are absolutely nearly accurate. Uh, not the word nearly is the point, but machines are definitely more accurate than humans. And what is automated can be replicated. It means that when we automate some tasks, it always produces the same result, and that process can be replicated, and it serves as a template or as a structure for future replication of that same task. And Why automation? Because humans has more potential in creativity than in routine tasks. Take something and put it in other place. Robots do this much better. The interesting thing is that word robot is from Czech. It was invented by Karel Čapek, who is Czech author, and the robota is the word for routine and hard work. And the robots mainly are designed, and humans wish robots to do the hard and the routine tasks because we are exhausted by this type of work. And the same applies in IT. And last but not least is security and keeping systems secure. This is a really good point, because when you get automatic updates, for example, in your Windows machine or Linux machine or anywhere else, the system is probably much more secure than when you have it switch it off. So uh, automation is exclusively about tools and machines, in my case about computers. And I will talk about automation from following perspectives. IT, information technology, can be imagined as company's brain for automation, and IT software tools are managing physical world, for example, in manufacturing. Uh, and currently, humans are overwhelmed with automation in every place. You see IT and software taking over humans, but many do worry about their jobs because of AI. But this presentation is not about artificial intelligence. It is absolutely not a topic, because in another slide you will see the gap between current world and between the desired world, where AI rules everything, and how huge gap we have in real business. But in my opinion, there is no need to worry about jobs, because the automation is with humanity for ages, and currently we are just switching to another era like before. So the history tells us that there is no need to worry about automation and about robots, AI, and so on. And history of tools, a little bit summary of the history and automation. We had stone tools, then sometime later we invented automobile, and now we have washing machine, dishwashers, robots, artificial intelligence, and so on and so forth. But the current situation, which is still persistent in companies, and not only in their IT departments, but nearly in every department. When I'm talking with our clients, this is obvious, and the point is that they are using Excel. Sometimes they are using Excel for another Excel sheet because they don't know. They get so many Excel files that they need central Excel for making evidence of that, where the correct informations are. And some companies has 10 or more IT systems, and some of them are even from 90s. This is I can say that this is all around the globe. I've came into contact with many companies and many businesses, but this the obsolete and the legacy systems are present nearly everywhere. Like the same with automobiles, we got 30 years old cars, and we get super modern ones, and this is a little bit problem, but because we are looking into future where AI will probably help us with many automated processes. So this is the gap. I would like to emphasize it and point at it, because on one hand we are hoping for AI, and on the other hand, some companies even now are using pen and paper in noting their data, in writing their data down, and they're transcribing it into some system. They are copy pasting many information from one system into another. In better case, in worst case, they are manually transcribing data, because the forms are not sufficient for transferring the data from one system into another. What to automate? Everything, in my opinion, everything in the IT field. This is the subtitle of this presentation. What can be automated will be. we are going in that direction, and probably it's unstoppable. And the final point, as I've said, is AI. But maybe better question is what not to automate. Processes which lacks logs and logging, because when you don't have logs of what was automated, when was it done, which process started it, who started that process, you are blind. And in final, this can be fatal for your company. Without second point, which are backups. This is I hope that in 2023 everyone knows that backupping is the key point in IT, because without backups, don't bother yourself with automation. In the first place, make backupping your priority in your company, because without backups, and it was seen even in biggest companies like Google or Facebook, when they automatically deployed some code or modified some system via automation tools, they nearly destroyed their infrastructure in a split second, and it took hours and hours and tons of nerves and stress of their admins. And those companies have processes, have everything backed up, and so on and so forth. And even them, when there is automation and everything is done really quickly, you can destroy much more than than the benefit of that automation is. So backups is the number one solution or number one priority for every company nowadays. And it was even before, but now it's much more important. And my recommendation is have your data physically by your side. I mean this, don't blindly just don't blindly put it into so-called cloud. Have backups of cloud data physically in your company, because you don't know what can happen. It can be seen with Russia. This is the great example. And if you imagine that there is some solution from Russia state, let's say some big software as a service solution, you can lose your data very quickly. Even if it now seems nearly impossible, because you have data in Amazon Cloud and Google Cloud and other clouds, and but when you don't have physically your data on a hard drive in your office, it is really dangerous to automate and to start automation in your company. And when we are talking about data, please always focus on structured data, because now when we have ChatGPT for creating human-like texts, or very long texts, and unstructured text inputs, just focus on structured data. It's much better for automation. No one wants to fill the text input fields in long forms and to write some essays into those text fields. It's not efficient. It's lacking the power to be automated, because for example, when you have a drop down or multi-select box or some kind of input for number, those are easily machine or software readable inputs, in contrast to unstructured data where someone is just putting in long texts. Avoid that, because now we definitely after 40 or more years when we work with computers, and in past it was mainly about long texts, and now we have much more structured data inputs, uh, and one of the reasons, not only automation, but it can be more it can be more it is more user friendly when you are inputting data on your mobile, on your cell phone. This is the another example why to have structured data and structured inputs. So there are only options which can be easily selected, or pre-filled forms, or just think about that user and try to save him time and save your nerves because of wrong inputs, and always validate inputs. This is the strict rule in automation, because without validated inputs you can't automate. You can, but there is much harder work on developers for developing the code which will process the data. And do not automate processes which the automation itself costs more than the result or the output of the automated process. This, for example, can be seen when some of our clients wants to automate process which is done only, let's say, every quarter, every 3 months. And so this is in total 4 times in a year, and the implementation of that automation will take, for example, 2 months, and it will cost a lot of money. And it is much better in those cases to process it by hand, because it's the cost versus the benefit of automation in this case is obvious that costs are much higher. And we always give advice to our clients that not everything needs to be automated. The routine tasks definitely, but the tasks which are done only once, twice a year, and for example, it takes 2 hours for some person to get the data and to process it, and the automation itself will take 4 man days, 5 man days. It is much better to stay with current solution. And if this goes into some wilder numbers, you can always afterwards implement some kind of automation or partially automate this task. And there are even special cases. For example, automatic invoice transcription via Google's AI. You can have Google and their artificial intelligence to read and parse invoices, but even them, they have a human in the chain. I think it's called human in the chain or human in the process. There is always needed a human validation for processing of huge amounts of invoices, for example, and the human is just correcting the AI till it learns precisely how to parse invoices and documents. So this is the special case when you need a human and a machine work together. And what will humans do when everything or nearly everything will be automated? And what's the responsibility of humans? We should overview and control, manage those automated tasks, and act like supervisors. we should optimize those processes, get rid of unnecessary ones, and always control the results at random or some in some structured manner. And we should be creative about how processes are automated, where we get data from, how to make things easier even for let's say not so skilled colleagues. For example, salesmen don't like to write long texts into their cell phones after some appointment. So make things easier for them when we can write a short software which takes data directly from their software with their knowledge, so it can note down the duration of the appointment thanks to GPS or thanks to some easy button presses. Push two buttons and then you get the whole appointment logged. And we should get rid of routine tasks and have more time for ourselves, so we will be more productive and we will have more creativity, because we will have much more freedom and much more space in our brains for creativity, thanks to the freedom which automation brought us. And automation is definitely about tools and precious tools, about tooling. The whole human history is about we are one of three animals, and three I mean we can use tools. Octopuses can use tools, maybe elephant can use tool, but I'm not certain. But we as humans are at the highest level of tools using, and the automation without tools is impossible. There is no automation without tools. And as I've mentioned, we got 40 years as humans, as the people living on Earth experience with email and Excel. This is on one hand great that those easy to understand tools, and it can be seen as automation, because you don't have to put the paper in envelope and walk to some post office and send it. You get one click and you send your email which you wrote, and nowadays you can use AI to help you, but it's still an email. And the Excel which I mentioned is without the table processor. It is not the product from Microsoft. It was it was the table processor from other company in the first place. But it is with us nearly 4 years also. So maybe in 2023 those tools are still great but a little bit outdated. We can make, of course, we can use of course software as a service like Zapier, Make.com, AppMixer, Mailchimp, Hotjar, Slack, plenty of them softwares as a service. Some of them are open source, like Mautic is equivalent for Mailchimp, Metabase is equivalent for Microsoft's BI, Active Pieces, and now N8N. I would like to show you this N8N product which I've discovered a little bit, I think a few days ago, 3 days ago, which is really interesting. 31,000 stars on GitHub, and it's open. It's not open source. It's got some different license, but this tool is for it's a clone of Zapier, of the automation tool. And So there are plenty of tools available for interconnecting softwares, like you connect your Gmail with your Facebook, and your Facebook with your Twitter account, and you can post message directly from an email based on some rules. But I will get to this a little bit later, because the current trend is low code and no code platforms and visual programming and automation, which can be seen that Active Pieces or N8N or Zapier make. You are just connecting graphs in some point and click tool. And when we get to what is important for IT automation, beside the things I mentioned, in my opinion, even if you are not an IT guy or a geek or someone who works with software every day, the one or two words you definitely need to hear as a manager or company owner is REST API. You can imagine it like the interface for communication, for modern communication between systems which are placed online. The another point is having one central source of truth, and you can imagine it like your company's IT brain, because when you have the problem with tools, I've shown you in the previous slide, like Zapier, like AppMixer, and the tools which just interconnects other services, which has REST API, like Gmail, Facebook, LinkedIn. Many big platforms nowadays have their own REST APIs, and those tools like Zapier are interconnecting the processes within those systems, but you are still lacking the primary interface. You are still lacking the tool or system, where there is everything, every automation, every data from every other system, and this is the main pain point of those tools. You don't have overall and overview over your other systems, and you still needs to go to Gmail, to Facebook, to LinkedIn, to some e-commerce solution if you have one, to business analytics, and so on. So this is a little bit problem. And as I've mentioned before, logging, backups, and notifications are crucial and essential when you want to automate. And what nowadays makes automation easier is, in my opinion, this is all based on my experience and my previous working experience. Web technologies, because they became a standard. HTTP protocol now is really standardized, and REST API is used over HTTP protocol. So web technologies, they are evolving enormously fast. JavaScript is used for other things than just manipulating your web page in your browser. And thin client browser itself helps us to be able to look into different systems, because nowadays you can, in old days everything was desktop based, accounting softwares, CRM softwares, ERP softwares, the communications like ICQ communication clients and so on, everything, image manipulation and processing like Photoshop. And nowadays every tool can be found in HTTP or web equivalent, and the browser helps us. And in because of this, you can even automate your browser to click for you if there is no other way. This is just a root and crude way to how to automate. I've seen some use cases when they've just programmed a web browser to do routine tasks inside of other systems. It was crazy because but it was because that system didn't have a REST API and was unable to consume tasks directly. So, and those universal tools nowadays rules the world, and we are moving away uh, from huge clients or from desktop clients uh, towards the uh, web-based tools and softwares, because we can't we can't think about Google, Facebook, LinkedIn, or I don't or imagine your system which you like. We can't think of those as web page, because they are not web pages, they are web applications, web-based applications, and they are much bigger than old school HTML websites. So this is important to know what you should automate. You should always look if that system has an web interface, standard web interface with REST API. If you are if you are considering to implement or to have some system placed in your company, always ask your vendor if it has REST API and if it's accessible via web browser, and definitely if it's accessible via web browser in your cell phone, because don't care about applications. They look fancy, they look nice, but if it can be done inside of a web browser, it is much simpler, and it's you don't definitely you don't work on your mobile every day, like in front of your big screen, in front of your laptop or big computer. You are just processing quick tasks or reading some info about task, about client in your cell phone, but you are producing the huge amount of data, or the most significant data in at your computer or at your laptop. So you don't definitely need an application. Many clients ask us if we have application. We do have two applications, but for special cases, which are much better when it's much better to have application for those tasks than to have just a web browser. I will mention it a little bit later. So it is also good to know what makes automation harder and even impossible. In my experience, it's prehistoric systems, obsolete systems, which are present everywhere, and I mentioned this before. If you have some obsolete or prehistoric system, and if it's called ERP in your company, you definitely have a problem, because everything is a an issue with that system. It probably it doesn't have an API. It only communicates with other world via XML files, and that's the better case. In the worst case, it's not communicating with other world or with other systems at all, and you have to directly access its database and manipulate data inside database of that system, which is from IT perspective a little bit crazy, unsecure, unstable. It can be unstable. So this makes problems from my and from our company's experience. And we, even in Czech Republic, which is little bit late in IT, because when there was IT revolution in 80s in US, Germany, UK, all around the free world, let's say it like that. We in Czech Republic, we were still in communist era, and we started with systems in 90s. And even when we started late, we do have plenty of systems based in 90s or maybe early 2000s, and companies are still using those systems. They're relying on them, which is on one hand great, because the systems proved their value in the time. But now, with the spread of internet and with the widespread of mobile devices, since the huge spread of mobile devices is from 2012, it it is blocking them. Maybe they have many times they have wrong central IT system, the most obsolete one, and they need to copy data from one system into another. It's split brains. Many times the data are inconsistent. They are partially in system A, and in system X there are nearly the same data but a little bit different. This is my experience. And maybe the higher initial costs, or making that thick line and saying now we will switch into some modern solution, it's maybe what blocks some companies from implementing some robust and modern solution. And it's even human fear of new technologies, job loss, and so on. It needs to be mentioned because sometimes we encounter on the other side the person who is not, let's say, not so happy with implementing new solution, because they need to learn new things and do things the other way and in a new way, and they are afraid that they will lose their job because of automation, which is definitely not true in my opinion. And now let's have a look into how do we automate in our company. I will just present you little bit examples what can be done and how, and which system are we using, developing, and implementing to our clients, because we are eating our own dog food. Like, let's say it like that. The software which we are implementing, we are heavily using ourselves. We are mainly producing the software for ourselves, and then it came to us implementing that solution for our clients, and we are constantly improving it because we want to have a really usable and really automated system. This is why we are calling that product automatic ERP, because automation is the key and the key point. We are using workflows and business process management 2.0 in that system for creating graphs and for creating complex workflows. We have automated invoicing, which is standard for many companies, but in other many companies, there are still invoicing in some obsolete software. So this is the huge gap between Excel and AI. It can be seen everywhere. For example, we are also putting backup checks into our instance, and I can show you how we work. So this is the interface, and for example, the little and easy task for us is, I will switch my interface into English. So just a second. And here you can see that we are downloading all emails into our system. So this fulfills the point that I'm always looking into one interface. If I want, I can go to other interfaces. Also, we get webmail, we get TIC clients, but I have all emails here in our system. And let's say I do want to create a task from this email. I just click on this button. The form is pre-filled with data, and I click save. I just need to select, this is new one. I just need to select a project. This was the task from our project management. They need to have the log of emails which are connected to projects. I click save. I go to my home page, and here you can see the task I've just created. Because we came to only two channels, email and chat, are producing tasks for us. And I hope and I think that nearly for everyone, for every company, it's the same, with an exception where in communication we have call logs. This is the case where we have a application for Android which is logging calls when they were placed, and how long they were and with whom. So this is where application needs to be really really installed on Android or iOS device. But this is the third and the least used channel where we get and gather tasks for our team. So the biggest producer of tasks is chat, where we are talking about every task, every project, every company issue. Here on one click, I can have a pre-filled form which will create a task for me. I can show you that I have a probably, but I did not. I did something wrong because I will put all data into it, and I've created, here you can see that I have this task created for myself. I will see it on homepage. Here you can see the project priority. This is how we create tasks, and this is just example how we automate everything. Because, for example, we get functionality where there is a demand from our client for for implementing some functionality which is not long enough to have a previous analysis for it. We just create a new task, and we here have a pricing. If I will write 1,000 crowns, for example, or euros, client immediately receives an email with an estimated cost, and after he clicks on the approval button, then it's automatically created a task for a developer to start working on that task, because we got let's say electronically signed request for implementing some functionality. And those are little bit details, but everything in our system is interconnected. There is a huge login subsystem. It has a new interface. Action history, it's called. Here you can see that we see everything, including reads, not only creates or updates, but also reads of some records. and now we are working on differences between individual updates. So you will have the whole history of previous actions. This is nicely implemented in WordPress, where you when where if you in WordPress update some post, then you can get back to previous versions, and you can see side by side compared those data, which is really nice. And we are working on similar functionality for Auto ERP. And now let's come to workflows. We have workflows, and for example, uh, we have here, it can be seen that we have send an SMS for appointment. Here can be seen that we have not only low code, no code platform, but we have low code platform, because some tasks can't be implemented only via clicking. The clicked tasks can be, for example, seen here. This is in Czech, first day after due date for an invoice, and this is all clicked, pre-filled and clicked and programmed, let's say, via clicking, because here you have action, send an email, and here you have target report, which gets invoices which are not paid and are after the due date. So here you can see that we can send email, create record, create related record, update target record, send HTTP request, do many things in a simple workflow. And for you to better understand this, for example, when we have some tasks, and let's see this one, I can point and click and click a workflow which says, after updating task from completed back to not started or back to work, notify manager. This is done really easily inside our platform, and it applies not only for tasks, but for every record in every entity. Those menu items, we are calling them entities, and this is the simple workflows. But we have also a flowchart, and here you can see that we have complex email campaign. This is unfortunately in Czech, but this is only wording. Here you can see it's in English. And it says, after sending the first initial email, wait 7 days, then send another mail. Here is specified mail template and from address and so on and so forth. Then wait another 7 days. Then if the lead was converted, do send email to C, otherwise send email to. Then wait for result 30 days, and then send another email. This whole graph is fully clickable, and you can have your own processes and sub-processes, gateways, and you can create really complex flowcharts. But my recommendation is start low or start small, and just when we are implementing the solution for our clients, we start with data structures. Then we request data from our client, which is really important, because many clients and many companies have those 10 systems implemented right now, and they are using Trello. They are using for some tasks they are using some CRM software like Salesforce. For some tasks they are using Jira, or they are using some other project management tool, and not even say Microsoft project, and their warehouses are in another software from local vendor. And now when they came to us, they are saying, we want your software to do everything, and we will just give you data. So they give us data exports from our softwares, from their softwares. We create data structures, then we put their data into those structures, and afterwards the final step is to create automations, to create workflows, to create complex workflows, as I've shown you. Those workflows here, there are plenty of them for our company, and some of them can't be done just by clicking. We have very complex workflows for warehouses, and for first expire first out, and first in first out, and last in first out, different scenarios and different calculations, and so on and so forth. And some of those tasks needs to be automated via real code and in real programming language, not just by point and clicking. But for many type of workflows, it is really easy in our system to implement them just by point and click, and fill the form, and gather data from reports. You can see that we have some examples here. This is the report, and based on this report, we can use this report in workflow. So everything is interconnected and usable. So our process is really simple, and I like simple things. Start with data, get rid of of unusable data, unstructured data, and data from which are split across many systems. And just after the cleaning of data and putting them into right structures, start with simple automations, like after receiving an email into this mailbox, for example, info@apertia.cz, you can create a workflow yourself, or someone who is a little bit skilled in, let's say, in Excel. You can create a workflow which creates a task for someone from a support team to process this email. It is really simple and really straightforward. You can then learn how to create complex workflows in our software, in this solution. But we as a partner are always coming to our clients and suggesting how things needs to be done, how they are done much easier, and how we, after many years of experience in IT, how we see that kind of issue, of problem, of task, how it can be automated. So this is why we are here. We serve as a partner for helping our clients with their workflows, and helping them having everything, including attendance, vacancy, and sales, whole communication, sending SMSs from our system, and so on, so forth. Have it everything in one box, let's say it like that. Here you can see that I'm managing my whole team, and because of a really simple overview over everything, I can automate every task from some of our clients automate tasks from warehouses. Some of our clients automate tasks which are they are guarding, or they get notifications when their salesmen have expired their certificate for selling some kind of insurance products, and the system notifies the manager, and it notifies the individual salesman, and it also disables that salesman selling of particular products which connects to that certificate, so on and so forth. So every time we do a little analysis of processes, but not the huge one, not those old school analysis consisting of 30 pages. We just need to have a big scope, big picture of the business where we are implementing our automation tool, and then we start classic agile process of implementing the whole software, because no one on this planet can imagine every process in every company. And in our experience, every company has different processes, different labels, different words for the exact same thing. And this is where we act as a partner. We guide you through the automation process. When you get really a simple tool, simple but powerful. And this is the point where I want to point out that this can be imagined like an Excel, but Excel 2.0. It is nearly the same. You see tables, you see individual records. This is not done in Excel so easily, but it can be exported into Excel. And then, as a benefit, and a huge benefit, you can automate anything. Here you can automate after this lead is converted or followed by someone, create task, create some start sub process, start some workflow. You can, for example, have a list, a report of leads which lacks phone numbers, and you can easily create tasks for your sales team to update phone numbers of clients. Anything you are doing on a daily basis and regular basis by just point and clicking into software, and when it's routine, and when it can be replicated, and it can be in our software created as a workflow. And not only it saves time, it saves also people from making errors. And this is why automation is really important. Having less errors, having everything in templates. For example, we have a possibility to create template from any record. For example, I can have this lead record to serve as a template. I don't have it like here. It is implemented for some of our clients, which I will not show you. But afterwards, I can just click on the button, create from template, and I have prefilled form, and then I can easily update only fields which needs to be updated. It is really great for making quotes and offers to clients. So this is little bit overview and little bit about automation, how it's done. We worked for financial sector. We are working for e-commerce businesses, where we connect their e-commerce platform, ideally WooCommerce, PrestaShop, or even Shopify or others, which definitely nowadays has REST APIs, and we are serving as an ERP on a backend. We also worked for photovoltaic industry, event agencies, or big vendors for electronics. If you have some question, you can write it in chat. If not, thanks for watching and have a nice day.